everyone, my name is Sergey Gusev and welcome to my channel. Today I will continue talking about portrait painting and show you how to paint a portrait of a small girl in oils on canvas. But before I start, please subscribe to my channel and you won't miss out on my new videos which are coming out really soon. Okay, if you're ready, let's begin. First of all, you need a canvas. The size of my canvas is 30 x 30 centimeters, which is about 12 x 12 inches. I painted my canvas with yellow ochre acrylic paint to darken the surface. I let it dry for a couple of hours and right now I'm ready to start. I'm going to make a really quick underdrawing with the graphite pencil. It is actually better to use charcoal, but if you are a beginner, it is much easier and more convenient to use a graphite pencil. I would suggest to use HB, B or 2B graphite pencil. When I'm drawing, I care mostly for the right composition and correct proportions. I do not do any measurement, but I always visually compare all the elements of the head with each other. So I compare the length of the nose with the height of the forehead, and the height of the forehead with the width of the entire face, and so on. Okay, I think I'm quite satisfied with the underdrawing and it's time to start painting with the oils. Let's mix some ivory black and a tiny bit of burnt sienna. I'm gonna use a soft flat synthetic brush. And I start painting from the pupil of the eye, which is the darkest spot in the entire portrait. I'm working a little on the pupil, then on the iris of the eye, and then I start working on the sclera and upper and lower eyelids. Don't forget that the sclera of the eye isn't entirely white, so add some cobalt blue or a tiny bit of yellow ochre when you need to darken it. Don't stuck in one place for a very long time, so after you blocked in the eye, mix color for the skin tones. I'm gonna mix titanium white, cadmium lemon and a bit of cadmium red. I don't really like to use yellow ochre for the skin tones because in my opinion it makes the skin tones a little bit yellowish. So I prefer using cadmium lemon. And right now I'm gonna work a little more on the skin tones around the eye. I'm working with a flat soft synthetic on a bigger plane, and when I need to work on the tiny details, I get a tiny round pointing synthetic, which is really great when you need to work on the very small details of the portrait. I like saying that it is better to work on the lights and shadows almost at the same time. So I worked a little bit on the skin tones in the lights and now it's time to work on the shadow. So you can see that right now I'm working on the cold reflection in the shadow. Right now I'm getting back to the light skin tones and blocking in the rest of the head. You can also see that I blocked in the other eye. For that I mixed ivory black and a bit of burnt sienna. While I'm working all over the face, here and there, mostly on the lights and halftones. As we're working on a child's face, we should keep it very soft. So if you see any rough brush stroke, you can smooth it out. Remember that it is better to keep all the transitions between the halftones very smooth and soft. I'm actually using quite a lot of white, cadmium lemon and a tiny bit of cadmium red, but when I need to darken the color I use a little burnt sienna and sometimes a tiny bit of blue cobalt. You guys can write in the comments which colors you like to use for the skin tones. It's gonna be really interesting to know your opinion about this. I actually don't like to use a lot of colors for skin tones, especially in the lights. Remember, it is necessary to keep them very clean, very bright. And if you mix too many paints, you can get a very muddy color. Especially if you like using dark colors like burnt umber or raw umber and black colors like ivory black or any other black color. So I do not recommend using any browns or blacks for the skin tones in the light. In my opinion, it's better to use titanium white, cadmium lemon, cadmium red and any blue color like cobalt blue, ultramarine or cerulean. When you need to darken the color, you can use burnt sienna, sometimes a little bit of yellow ochre, much less white, ultramarine and blue cobalt. If I'm working on a very dark shadow which is kinda close to pure black, I would use burnt sienna and raw umber. In this case I'm not using raw umber, I'm using ivory black, so for the very dark shadows I can use a tiny bit of ivory black and burnt sienna. Okay guys, it's time to work on the backgrounds. So let's get a bigger synthetic in our hands and mix some titanium white and blue cobalt. Well, I didn't tell you about the medium I'm using right now, and actually I don't like to use a lot of medium. But of course once in a while I have to use it, so for this portrait I'm using linseed oil and about 20% of demo varnish. So I think it's quite a good medium, especially when you need to paint really nice soft skin tones like in this case. If you're going to use only linseed oil, like pure linseed oil as a medium, it's gonna thin the paint down too much, making it really transparent. But when you add a tiny bit of demo varnish, it's gonna make your colors stronger and a little thicker. So in my opinion it's a really great medium, especially for quick studies. Well guys, when you work on the backgrounds, don't forget to adjust the shape of the head just a little bit. I mean, it's not like you're painting a background and a portrait, it's all together. So when you're working on the background, you can correct the shape of the head. Okay, I think it's time to start working on the hair. It's quite a big dark spot, and to see better the light skin tones, we need to surround them with dark spots. It was quite important to paint the backgrounds, and now it's time to paint another dark spot, the hair. Remember that the hair isn't flat. It has a volume and so light and shadow. The lights are cold because the light source is cold, and so the shadows are warm. Let's mix ivory black and burnt sienna for the shadows. And let's mix ivory black, cobalt blue, titanium white and a tiny bit of cadmium red for the lights. We don't have to finish every detail of the hair right now. We need to block in the light and shadow. And then we can go back to the portrait and continue working on the facial details. The last but not least facial detail we should start working on is the lips. So let's get a small round pointed synthetic in our hands and start working on the lower lip. The lower lip is slightly darker than the upper one, especially when it turns away from the light source. It gets darker and slightly warmer. So we should use more cadmium red, burnt sienna and a tiny bit of blue cobalt. The other part of the lower lip, which turns toward the light source, is much cooler. Therefore I'm gonna use more titanium white, blue cobalt and cadmium red. I would suggest painting the lips very softly, especially the edges of the lips. They should connect with the skin around. Make this transition very soft and smooth. Remember to paint the lips as a part of the entire portrait. Don't paint them separately. Okay, I think it's enough to work on the lips so far. Right now I'm gonna go back to the hair and add some more details. Again, I'm gonna use a very small soft synthetic. It's really good for drawing each single hair. If you want to draw each hair, still remember about the big form. And don't break it down to multiple details. If you do so, it will destroy the big volume of the head. Remember that we have primary and secondary things. The most important things in the portrait are the eyes, nose and lips. The rest isn't that important. So don't treat them similar. Pay more attention to the eyes and less attention to the hair. Of course, if you have a lot of time, you can paint as many details as you want. But if you don't have time, just leave it like that. Just light and shadow. You don't have to count each detail to make a nice painting. Good painting is about big tonal and color relationships, but not details. So, if the colors, proportions, tonal values are correct, the painting will look great even without details. But if you have a lot of details and no big form, no tonal values, you probably will fail. And yes, I go back to the hair again. Probably I have too much free time. Well, it's okay. Let's add some more details to it. Right now it's all about drawing. We have blocked in big spots of light and shadow. And now we're just drawing, adding more details, but still working in the light or shadow. So when you work, always remember what you paint, light or shadow. Compare lights and shadows with each other. And make sure you don't mix them up. You have to remember the basic rule: the shadows are always gonna be darker than the lights. So when you paint the hair in the light, make sure it is lighter and colder than the hair in the shadow, which is darker and slightly warmer. It is actually quite simple to understand and apply. So just keep in mind this rule. And you won't make mistakes. Well guys, let me know in the comments if you have any questions. I hope my explanations are clear enough. But if you want me to explain more, just let me know. And I will do my best to improve my videos. Well, I think this portrait is quite finished right now. But again, why not to add some more details in the end? So you see guys, I'm gonna work some more on the eyebrows. Working with a really small soft synthetic with a pointed tip. It's so great to paint and draw with this brush. I think you should definitely try it out, guys. Well, I'm not making any big changes right now. I'm just checking out the entire painting. And if I see something I don't like, I'm gonna fix it right away. I'm also going to work a little more on the eyes at the end. Just make a few touch-ups here and there, but no big changes. Well, you know guys that I made this channel special for you, so if you have any questions or you misunderstand something I say, just let me know in the comments and I will fix it immediately. You can also help me out and share this video with your friends on your favorite social network. And of course subscribe to my channel, because there are new videos which are coming out really soon. Okay, I think it's time to slowly finish this painting. I think I will let it dry, and after it dries up, I will take a look at it and maybe finish and fix some small details. Okay, I think here I'm gonna stop and let's take a look at how it turned out. I really hope that this video was helpful and inspiring for you. Put thumbs up if you like it, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to visit my webpage and download the full video tutorials, and also subscribe to my accounts on Facebook and Instagram. I wish you good luck with your artworks guys, and see you soon.